Our karma is our mind. Our karma is our mind. The mind stands in the way of clear view of God. Our minds give us clouded perceptions.
Mic check, mic check. Wow, hi everybody. Nice to see you guys in the room. Hey Soraya, hey Fran, nice wave. Hey Helen, Paul, Zoe, Charlie. It's good to see you all. The whole of the Haswell family, awesome. Hi, hey Margaret, hi Caroline, nice to see you. Guys, in a minute, I'll step back to the mats and I'll need to ask someone to give me a little wave just to check that you can hear me well through this microphone, because sometimes it defaults to the camera phone and that's no good. The sound is just not as good. Margaret, I can just about see you quite well. Or Caroline, if when I sit on my block, if you could give me a little wave, or even Sarah, if you give me a little wave, just let me know that the audio is still good. Thanks. Okay, hey, I think I can see Sarah quite clearly. Sarah, could you give me a little wave if the audio is good? Awesome, lovely, thanks very much, guys. So we've got around about 3 minutes left. I think there's about 15 or 16 booked on. So we'll give any stragglers a little chance to log in. Hopefully they've all got the codes. In the meantime, I'm going to sit here quietly for the next 2 minutes and I'll be back at exactly 10:30. Good morning, yogis. It's 10:30 and it's time to welcome you to the Saturday morning stretch yoga for runners and desk workers class. This is one of those really good stretch routines that are good for the bigger muscles in the legs, the calves, even the chest, all the way through the core and the hip flexors. Really nice, long, gentle stretch. No crazy standing poses, nothing like that. Very, very little downward dog, very little pressure on the wrists. So it's a really nice one to enjoy on a Saturday morning. If you haven't already, I'd invite you to come to sit in a comfortable position. I'm just going to turn this background music down just a little so it's not distracting. And we'll open by coming into the breath. The breath is a wonderful vehicle to take us out of our busy minds and into our present moment. You may even notice if you practice breathing a lot, that you get the same benefits as you do when you meditate a lot. But meditating is hard, breathing is relatively easy, the benefits are similar. So I highly recommend that you focus on breathing a lot. And we'll start with a 4-4 breath, inhaling for 4 and exhaling for 4. And I'd like you to create that gentle whisper sound in the back of your neck. Sounds like this. It makes the breathing very conscious. Not so much that you feel dizzy and not so much that you're not aware, just a gentle blend. So let the breath naturally leave your mouth right now and then seal your lips and inhale with me for a count of 1, 2, 3, 4 and exhale all the way. 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale 1, 2, 3, 4 and exhale 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhaling 1. Remember the whisper sound. 3, 4. Exhale through the nose. 4, 3, 2, 1. One more time together. Inhale 1, 2, 3, 4 and exhale through the nose. 4, 3, 2, 1. Remember to inhale through the nose. Breathe naturally. Allow yourself to sense the sensations inside the body, the subtle ones, the true ones. Good, and we'll set our intention for the practice together. Please bring your right hand to rest on your heart and your left hand to rest on your belly where you can feel your breathing. May this practice heal and strengthen your body and your mind. May this practice heal and strengthen your body and your mind. Good. We'll start by coming through the 3 planes of movement, really designed to wake up the spine before we come into the stretch routine. So come into an all-fours position, and we'll take a couple of cat-cows. So you've already initiated your breathing. I'd like you to follow your breathing and using inhale to drop your belly towards the ground and lift your chin towards the sky, and then exhale to press your spine towards the sky and drop your chin towards your chest. Good, taking nice, long, slow breaths and using them to manipulate and move through the sagittal plane. So that's bending backwards and forwards through your spine. Each time you inhale, you'll drop your belly and lift your chin. And each time you exhale long and slow, you'll arch your spine as if to remind it the full range of movement. Good, take one more like this. Quite fluid in your own body, moving with your own cadence, your own breath cycle. Good, and then we'll come to gate post to open up through the frontal plexus. Step your right foot out, come up to a vertical position standing on your left knee, and place your right hand on your right thigh, and then inhale your left hand up and over towards the right side of the body. So you're getting a nice stretch through the left side of your body. You're opening up and reminding your spine that it can flex that direction. Right? You'll get a nice early stretch through your hip flexors, the intercostal muscles that bind the ribs, and through the outer left shoulder. Good, take a breath in here, and as you exhale, fold your left hand down onto the ground and just come into a supported side lift. So lift your right leg off the ground and lift your right hand towards the sky and just warm up through the wrists and the ankles. So rotate through the wrists and rotate through the ankles a couple of times in each direction. I know it's a bit mentally challenging to get this to go in both directions. I always struggle with it too. Nice. Good. Then when you're ready, float your right foot back onto the ground and walk your left hand out in front of you. And we'll come into the transverse plane. So we're going to rotate around the neutral spine axis. So press your fingertips towards the sky and breathe in through your nose. And then exhale through your nose to dive your right shoulder to the ground as you reach your hand underneath your left rib cage and get an early stretch through your inner right thigh and a nice rotation around your neutral spine. Be so careful and gentle with yourself. If anything feels a little strong or a little too much, be kind enough to ease out. Let the breath leave your body now. And when you're ready, inhale, float that right hand all the way back up to the sky. Good, and then float the hand back down to the ground and step the left foot out. We'll do the other side. Good, so you're kneeling on your right knee, left foot is extended, left hand on left thigh. Inhale your right hand up and over and get a really nice big stretch through the frontal plane. So you're stretching out through the right side of your rib cage. Beautiful, and feeling the stretch go deeper through the muscles and tendons across the outside of your right body. Nice big breath comes in to expand through the right lung. And then exhale, dive the right hand onto the ground, and we'll just open up through the left side. So float the left foot off the floor, float the left hand towards the sky and rotate through the ankles and the wrists, just warming up the joints, loosening through. Good, if you've already been for a run this morning, your joints will be nice and warm already. Float your left foot back onto the ground and walk your right hand around so it's in front of your right knee, and we'll come through the transverse plane just to complete all three sides. Good, inhale, reach to the sky, and exhale, sweep your left shoulder down towards Mother Earth and feel the rotation around your neutral spine. Maybe your left shoulder or left cheek touches the ground as you open through your left inner groin. Gentle. Remember the compassion. Never go too deep and never give up too soon. Know the subtleties of your body well enough to adjust wherever you need to. Good. Inhale that left hand straight back up to the sky and reach it a little higher. Nice. And then exhale, come back to the all fours position and come into a downward facing dog. We won't be in down dog for long. So hands are at the top of the mat, feet are at the back of the mat. Good. Inhale your right leg to the sky and exhale, draw your right knee into your chin and just step your right foot somewhere between your hands comfortably. Yeah. And then soften your left knee down onto the floor. And we're just going to open up through the hips a little bit with a little bit of repetition. So inhale to press your heart forward comfortably, and then exhale to straighten through both of your legs, coming into pyramid pose. You'll notice an early stretch through your right hamstring, calf, and Achilles tendon. Inhale, soften your left knee down, long runner's lunge, open your heart forward as you breathe in, pop out your lungs, and exhale, straighten both legs again. We'll do this one more time. Inhale, drop the left knee, puff the heart forward, and exhale, straighten both legs, feeling length and generosity through the whole of the body. Then rotate to the left edge of your mat and reach your hands down to either your knees, your calves, your ankles, beyond the feet, whatever is convenient. And take a moment to allow the crown of your head to melt down towards the earth. Maybe it touches the ground. If it does, walk your feet a little closer together so you're really benefiting from the stretch through the back of your glutes. Feel it opening through the back of your hamstrings. Feel it reaching down through your calves and into your Achilles tendons. Notice it stretching through the inner thighs, through the back, and across the shoulder blades. As the shoulder blades melt towards the earth, crown of the head hangs a little heavier. Good. They call this one runner's relief. Nice. One more breath in. Not here for long. Don't worry. Good. And then rotate back towards the front of the mat. Take a big breath in, and as you exhale, step your left foot towards the top of the mat and come into a nice long forward fold. Nice long forward fold. Maybe you grab a hold of opposite arms. I like to. It gives me a little bit more gravity to decompress my spine. Or maybe you rest your hands towards the floor or on the floor. And if you're in the practice of over-straightening your knees in forward fold to get that great stretch to your hamstring, just relax a little and bend your knees. When you bend your knees, you'll let the stretch go beyond the hamstrings and into the low back because you'll release the pressure through the low back. Good, and we'll get ready to do the same on the other side. Press your hands back onto the floor and step your right foot to the back of the mat this time. Coming into your pyramid pose, gentle stretch through your left leg. Good, inhale to drop your right knee to the ground and press your heart forward. Press your heart forward and find the expansion through your lungs, and then exhale, straighten through both your legs again, pyramid pose. Good. Inhale, soften that right knee down, press the heart forward. Maybe even float the hands up a little early if you wish to. Good. Maybe not, yogi's choice. Exhale, straighten both legs, pyramid pose. Good, one more time, just drop the knee to the ground. Inhale, press the hands forward. If you wish to, you can float the hands high. Yogi's choice. Always ask yourself, does this feel good inside? Is this nice? If it's not, then why are you doing it? Exhale, straighten both your legs. Good, and then step your right foot to the top of the mat. Come into a little fold again. This time, take a swish either side. Swishing left and right in a forward fold takes the stretch a little deeper into the core muscles at the base of the spine. So do as much as feels good to you and come back to center. Nice. From here, let your hands drift towards the ground and step your left foot to the back of the mat again. You should be nice and open through your hips, through your legs. So soften your left knee onto the ground. And this time we can all together inhale our hands towards the sky. Now, if this is too much for you, don't worry. You can bring your hands into prayer center or even keep them down to the side. What I'm trying to do is open up through the front line of your body, all the way from your shoulders, your chest, and then really expand through your left hip flexor, right? So that left hip flexor, that's the big muscle at the top of your left leg, the one you use to lift your leg whenever you take a step, whenever you run or walk. These big muscles, they contract, contract, contract. When you think about it, if you had to pick up the weight of your own leg several times in a minute, you'd get pretty tired, and yet your hip flexors do it for you faithfully. And if you sit at a desk, these same muscles tighten and shorten. So open up through your hips, use your breath to let go. Nice. Having opened through the front of the left hip, we're now going to come through the outer left hip. So bring your hands to the ground and bring your knees more or less into 90 degrees. Good, and take your right hand and place it on your right thigh, just comfortably. And inhale your left hand up and over your left shoulder. We opened up through the frontal plane earlier, so you're quite open here now, but this time you can go a little deeper into the outer left hip. So breathe into any stiffness you might feel. And if you don't feel any stiffness, smile. Whatever you feel, be comfortable with it. It's who you are right now. It's what you have right now in this moment, and that is the best you can ask for. Always. Good. Bring your hands back into heart center, and we'll take the stretch back into the front of the left hip flexor, but go deeper. So this muscle at the top here, if you've been to my Saturday morning class, I talk about it a lot, the rectus femoris at the top. We're going to go underneath to the muscles that are just inside the hip flexors, called the psoas and iliacus. So press your hands onto your knees. This can be a tricky one to find. Some of you know it well. The frontal hip joints, in fact, if you take your hands off your knees, forgive me, and use your fingers to touch your frontal hip joints, the bony bits at the front of your hips, you can lift these by rotating through your hips, right? And as you turn your hips, you rotate your lumbar spine outwards. So if you lift your frontal hip joints, you'll rotate your spine outwards. So you curl it outwards, depending on your skeletal structure. It looks different in everybody. But you stretch this deeper hip flexor muscle. That's what we're looking for. So put your hands on your knee and lift your frontal hip joints. Curl your spine back. So you're arching your spine back, just like in cat-cow. And reach the crown of your head forward. And we're trying to get a nice deep stretch in psoas. You can count your own breath as we move through this sequence. The more attention you pay to your breath, the more meditative quality and results you'll get from your practice. Good. One more long, soft, cadent breath. allowing those deeper hip flexor muscles on the left side of your hip to open. Nice. And then when you're ready, release that. It's just a gentle release through the hips so the frontal hip joints can drop back down again. And we're going to use the position to go into the inner right thigh. By the way, if you've used your microphone, please switch it off. The only reason being, if there's any sound in your house, the camera will snatch your camera and then everyone will hear what's going on in your house. So if you've unmuted yourself for already a reason that you're auto-muted when you come in, please mute yourself again. If you can't work it out, don't worry too much. It just helps for the general way that this works on Zoom. Otherwise, please place your hands in line with your right foot, and we'll bring the stretch to the inner right thigh. There's a tiny little hip flexor muscle in here. It's actually a groin muscle. We talk about it a lot in the class, called pectineus, and we're going to stretch into the inner right thigh. So place your hands in line with your right foot, and notice your right shoulder is just above you, the inside of your right knee. And when you're ready, begin to walk your hands forwards enough that you can feel the stretch in this inner right thigh, right? Yeah. You may then move your hips a little or move your knee a little and be a little bit less rigid, but allow yourself to focus the stretch on the inner right thigh. It's a place we rarely stretch. Pectineus muscle. And then use your breath like some sort of internal magic wand that allows you to soften the inside of all of your muscles and tendons. Allowing the breath also to work efficiently. You'll feel it when it's right, especially when you're calm. Good. In a moment, we're going to take the stretch from the inner right thigh to the right calf muscle. So place your hands in front of your foot so it's comfortable and tuck your left toe. We're going to get into downward facing dog. So just take a breath and exhale to step your right foot to the back of the mat and come into downward facing dog. And then float your right foot over the back of your left leg and press the ball of your right foot into the bottom left corner or towards the bottom left corner of your mat. And in doing this, you should feel a really nice stretch through the calf muscle and down through the middle of your Achilles tendon, wrapping into the heel. Now, for some of us, we can take our left foot away from the ground gradually, maybe even off the foot, and this will deepen the stretch. Maybe the right heel touches the ground, maybe it doesn't. For others, maybe we need to keep a lot of weight in the left foot and keep the right heel a little high, just to be sensitive to our own body. Please do that. Be sensitive to your own range. Never try and go too deep. That won't help you. It might impress your ego, but it won't impress your body. Listen to your body. Good. Then step your right foot back. And we'll do the other side. So just momentarily inhale your left foot to the sky, three-legged dog, and exhale. Draw your left knee into your chest and step your left foot to the top of the mat so we can do the other side. Now, I'm going to wiggle around to the other end of my mat just to make this a little bit more uniform, but don't get confused. Stay where you are. So you're still at the top of your mat whilst I move around. Good. Drop your right knee onto the ground. So we're going to do the right hip this time. You should be quite open. You can maybe press the top of your right foot into the ground and inhale both hands straight up towards the sky. And feel the stretch radiate all the way through the front of your chest and out through the front of your right hip. So that big muscle on top, rectus femoris, which goes all the way from your knee and up over your hip and into the back of your pelvis. Feel it stretch, feel it open. And if you reach your hands up nice and high, maybe even press your yogi hands together and sense the energy in your hands. You might feel the stretch radiating energetically all the way from your fingertips to your right toes. Good. Long breath in as you stretch from the inside out. Beautiful. You should be able to really feel this now. Make sure you're comfortable. Don't go too deep, please. Don't go too deep. Take a breath in and exhale. Bring your hands back down to the ground. And we'll bring both knees back into 90-90. So left knees at 90, right knees at 90, all thereabouts, whatever's comfortable, right? You might need to fold over your mat, make the right knee more comfortable. And we'll take the stretch to the outer right hip this time. So place your left hand on your left thigh comfortably and inhale to sweep your right hand up and over and open up through the outer right hip. Yeah. It's an interesting journey that we take through our own presence. When I first came to yoga, it was all about the physical asana. It's all I cared about. Fancy poses and strong stuff, power yoga. And over the years, I seem to have shifted a little bit towards some of the more internal awareness that it creates when you move through these patterns, go deeper in gentle, subtle layers each time. There are other destinations other than an aesthetically pleasing body. Not that that's a bad thing. It's a really cool thing. Inhale your hands back up towards the sky. Good, and we'll take that stretch now back into the front of the right hip and go a little deeper. So press your hands and remember the frontal hip points, those bony bits. You're going to anteriorly rotate. So rotate your spine up. So rotate your frontal hip joints up. So you press your lumbar spine back outwards. You're arching your spine back. It's the spine, the column of the spine, that the muscles of the psoas attached onto. So when you move your spine back, you stretch those muscles across the front of your hip. So important for runners. Equally as important for those of us who sit at desks. I say us, I used to. Spent about 20 years using desks as my main work tool. Created all sorts of imbalances in my hips. Luckily for me, when I was much younger, I used to do karate. There was a lot of stretching in that. I also did a lot of damage. I don't know why I'm laughing, it's not funny. Good, one more long breath. Use your nose if you can. If you're breathing through your mouth, you lose the benefits of nose breathing. Good, when you're ready, gently release yourself from this stretch and reach your hands down in line with your left foot. And we'll take that stretch to the inner left thigh this time. So your hands are in line. I'd like you to push your palms down if you can. You'll know I'm modifying to my fists because of my wrist surgery. It's just how I've had to modify my practice with my aging process. And then walk your hands forward so your left shoulder can begin to slide down the inside of your left shin. Yeah, you know this one. Pectineus on the left inner thigh. There's something deep inside your body that's probably saying, oh, thank you. This muscle never gets stretched. How did you know? Well, maybe next time you're wondering what to stretch, you can think, oh, I'll warm up through my hips, get the whole body to open a little, and then come into some of these these smaller targeted muscles, harder to get to. I know the techniques. I can do these whenever I choose. It's my body. As you're breathing through your nose, there's tiny little hairs inside your nose. They're called cilla, spelled C-I-L-I-A. Cilla. They purify some of the particles, dust and pollen, that kind of stuff. Also, your nose tends to warm the air and hydrate it before it gets to the lungs. You breathe straight in through your mouth, and it's just dry air that goes straight into your lungs, kind of dries you out. All the particles go in there too. Interestingly, also, when you breathe through your nose, you start to cleanse the air at a chemical level because you're inhaling something called nitric oxide that is made in your nose. Breathe in through your mouth, you just inhale any of the pathogens that are floating in the air. When you're ready, place your hands towards the top of the mat, and we'll come into that stretch for the Achilles tendon. So step back into your downward facing dog and float your left leg over the back of your right leg this time, and press the ball of your left foot into the bottom right corner of your mat. Now for me, I'm going to modify this a lot because I recently sprained my left ankle. So I'm putting most of my weight through my right foot. You can choose to release weight out of your right foot and push down through your left heel to allow the left heel to press in towards the earth. Maybe your left heel touches the ground. Maybe it doesn't. As long as you can listen to the subtleties, the layers inside your body. You'll find that if you have thoughts in your practice, it's harder to hear the subtle messages that come from your body. But if you use your breath, begin to soften into the awareness of the present moment, you can start to hear your body speak to you. Kind of depends on whether you want to hear it, I suppose. Some of us are just too busy. The body will repair itself. It'll be fine. It probably will. But sometimes it could do with some help from us. Good. One more long breath in as you soften through that left calf muscle and reach length through your left Achilles tendon as you allow your left heel to soften towards the ground or even onto it. And then gently float your left foot back and bring both your knees to the ground and come to lie on your belly. Just relax for a second. Let go. Soften through your body. Feel the ground holding you. Notice the effect of gravity. Can you feel gravity holding you on the earth? It's there all the time. We do take it for granted. But we can use it to bring us into the present moment, right? Good. And from here, we're going to get ready to stretch through the arms, shoulders, chest. Some of you will know this from my class if you come regularly on Saturday mornings. But I'd like you to start by coming onto your chest so your chin is in the middle of your mat. I am demonstrating if you need to look. If you don't, then don't worry. And then press your right elbow out in line with your right shoulder and bring a 90-degree angle through your right elbow. Our target area for this one is the right chest. So the pec major, pec minor, deltoids, the whole muscle structure across the front of your right chest and shoulder. So bring your left hand underneath your left shoulder. Some of you are doing this already, I sense, because you know it well. And then use your left hand to push your left shoulder away from the ground, lift your left hip away from the ground, and roll over onto your right cheek so that you can open out through the right chest muscle. The reason we do this is because most of the time we contract through our chest muscles, either because we're sort of slouching in front of a desk and the chest muscles just shorten, or maybe we're running and we're overusing those muscles, depending on what we do to work, thrive, and survive most of the time. Not right now, obviously. A lot of us aren't working or finding different ways of working. These chest muscles get awfully tight. Sometimes it's anxiety that stresses out our muscles and fires them. Giving the whole body a chance to open up and stretch and lengthen and elasticate again. Usually quite a good idea. I can't think of a time when it isn't, but I'm sure there are times. Good. One more long breath in as you open up through that right chest muscle. If you're finding this really strong, you can bend your left knee in front of you or even straighten out through your right elbow, but that's kind of cheating. It's okay. If you need to do it, do it. And then when you're ready, bring yourself back to center and we'll do the other side. So we'll move to the other arm. Just place your left elbow out in line with your left shoulder. Yeah, this is something I can't really check on the camera. I'm going to have to count on you because all your cameras are pointing upwards, right? 90 degrees in your left elbow, and draw your right hand underneath your right shoulder, and then use your right hand to push your right shoulder away from the ground as you roll onto the left side of your body and float your right leg up and over. Maybe your right leg can just rest onto the ground or a block, or if it's a Haswell family, maybe a family member can just prop your foot up there if it's possible. Whatever feels right. So you can target your front left chest and open up through the muscles. And get that lovely secondary stretch through your right hip as you rotate your right hip a little higher. And allow the cadence of your breath to move through your body, inhaling through your nose. Hopefully there's not too much dust on your floor. When I practice at home, this pose always reminds me to hoover more often. And exhaling back out through your nose. One more long breath in. Maybe you can feel an expansion through your heart space. Nice. And then gently start to exhale and rotate your right shoulder back to the ground. Maybe you're liking this so much you want to stay a bit longer. That's okay. And take a little rest. We're going to balance up by stretching the outer shoulders. So we've done the front shoulder. We're going to do the back shoulder. So we're switching back to the right arm. Lift your chest slightly. Use your left elbow if you need to. And then reach your right arm across the front of your chest. Now, you may be able to see me doing this on the screen. I'm on the floor, so it might not be clear. But you're lying down on your belly. You're lifting your chest. And you're placing your right arm between the ground and your chest. And then you're lowering your body weight onto the outside of your right arm and carefully stretching through the outer right shoulder assembly. This should be quite comfortable, and you should be able to comfortably place your forehead on your left forearm as a bit of a prop or a pillow. If for any reason it's not comfortable, then please soften and modify. Don't push. There's always a subtle balance between trying too hard and giving up too early. My teacher always used to say, what would happen on the other side of where you would normally give up? So that place where your mind says, that's it, I haven't got it anymore, I'm tired, I want to go. Body usually has a little bit left in the tank when the mind has given up. But there is a danger. If we push too hard, we can injure the body. So we have to listen to the body. Good, gently getting ready to switch to the other side. Lift your chest and release the body weight so you can release your arm. And then switch it for your left arm. And get your left arm nicely trapped between the ground and your chest. And then lower your head down so that you can stretch through the outer left shoulder muscles. So all the muscles and tendons that wrap around the outside of your left shoulder blade and left shoulder, and all the way through that whole assembly. You can feel it, right? You can feel the stretch. And as your body weight presses down on the inside of your left upper arm, you can probably feel a bit of tingling in your left palm where the blood supply is being slowed. That's fine, don't worry. Just allow the stretch to move through the outer left shoulder. One more long breath. Let it go in through your nostrils. Maybe you can sense the air moving those little hairs inside your nose. And then breathe back out through your nose and softly release yourself from this pose. Yeah. Good. Take a little rest here. Just give yourself a moment. In about 30 seconds, we're going to come to downward facing dog. But before we start to move, I'd like you to just feel gravity again and feel the air passing through your nostrils. We're really using all these sensations to allow our awareness to leave our thoughts. Our thoughts are really like cats, aren't they? They're just impossible to control. Ever heard the expression herding cats? Brings an interesting image to mind. Because cats don't listen to us. They do what they want to do. It's the same with our thoughts. Our thoughts do exactly what they want to do. And the more we try and influence them, the more they do the opposite. Good. So we've had about 30 seconds of rest. I'd like you to tuck your toes and come on up into your downward facing dog. And push your palms down deeper into the ground and just reach your sit bones a little higher so you can feel the stretch through the back of your legs. That's good. And then inhale your right leg straight up towards the sky, three-legged dog. Presses energy out through the right heel, and exhale, draw your right knee straight into your chest and step your right foot forward. Yeah. And from here, reach your right hand forward, just like it's trying to shake someone's hand in front of you. You should feel a nice stretch through the front of the hips. Let the breath leave your body through your nose, and then as you inhale, just sweep your right hand all the way back to point your right fingertips in the same direction as the back of your mat. Now, there's a choice here. Your chest should be nice and open. There's a choice here to maybe get a hold of your left foot and come into twisted thigh stretch, but it's very optional. Please don't do this if you don't feel ready. Wherever you've come to, see if you can drop your left hip a little closer to the ground to open up deeper into the psoas, and raise your right shoulder a little higher. You'll get a slightly deeper stretch through the quadricep at the same time, but really moving through the whole transverse plane, open up through that cross section of the front of the body from the left knee to the right shoulder. You're open enough to go into this now as much as you comfortably choose to, and then gently when you're ready, let that left foot float to the ground if you were holding it. If you weren't, then just sweep your right hand back to the front, and we'll set up for our pigeon pose. Pigeon pose, the target area is the right glute, or the glutes. Walk your right foot towards your left wrist and soften your right knee with compassion somewhere behind your right wrist. Try to adjust myself so you're hopefully still in camera shot. And then inhale your heart high. Before we come into this pose, lift your heart a little higher to get a nice stretch through your left hip flexor. And for some of us, it's accessible to lift the hands too. And if that feels good to you, go ahead and do it. If it doesn't, be honest and don't. Yeah, I can see the Haswell families, a mix of votes there. I love the honesty. Exhale, walk your hands forward and melt your heart towards the ground. Now the target area is the right glute. And if you know that coming into this pose creates any pressure in your right knee, or if you feel any pressure in your right knee, please ease out. Do not strain your knee. We're using the leg to leverage the stretch into the right glute. So you should feel, with a little luck, a release through the right glutes. And if you feel stress in your knee, you've gone the wrong way, you need to soften or stop. Or if you know the modification lying on your back, please take the modification lying on your back, where your left knee is bent and your right ankle is on your left knee, and you can gradually open through the right glutes. And if you're quite comfortable, use your breath to soften the outer right hip, glutes, hamstrings, low back. Two more long breaths, those long nostril, deep lung breaths. Some of us breathe from the top of our lungs, short little breaths, created by a tiny movement in the rib cage. I invite you to take longer, slower, deeper breaths, created by the belly moving. It's actually the diaphragm that moves. We call it belly breathing. It's a diaphragm that contracts downwards to draw the breath deep into the bottom of the lungs. When you're ready, I'd like you to use one of these deep belly breaths to walk your hands back underneath your shoulders and lift your heart back up towards the sky. Yeah, and we'll come into cow face. So sit your right foot, your right sit bone down onto the ground or onto a block or a book or anything you've got that's comfortable, and see if you can helicopter your left leg all the way around until it comfortably passes your right knee. Now you might need to adjust and lift yourself around and do that kind of stuff. You're at home, no one's watching, make yourself comfortable, right? You'll feel when the stretch is good. And then actively press your left foot down into the floor in front of your right knee. And take your left hand and place it behind your left hip. And place your right elbow in front of your left knee and use this to rotate around. So inhale, find the length, and exhale, draw back a little. Good, just come into a little twist here. We're not really focusing on it too much. We just want to use it to open the body for the next stretch. What I would like you to do is make sure that even though you're at home, don't slack and allow your head to drop forward. Don't look at the ground. Lift your chin a little and lift the crown of your head so your spine is neutral. And then exhale to come a little deeper if you can. Good, and then come back to center and just take a counter twist. Just draw your right shoulder to the back of the mat, just to equal up through the spine. Make sure you're not looking at the floor too much. Come back to the middle and see if you can squeeze your knees together. I like to use a block here. It means I can get my knees a bit closer together. And, you know, obviously don't go too deep. The reason we're setting up this pose is because there's a little muscle called the piriformis at the back of the hips, just at the back of where the coccyx is. It gets quite tight. It never gets stretched. You have to sort of like tie yourself up in a pretzel like this to get even close to it. Runners in particular suffer from tight piriformis. So you're feeling a stretch, hopefully through the outer thighs and through the outer left thigh, that's the leg on top. Like the inhale to lift your heart a little higher. Now, there's lots of variations. Some people like to take reverse namaste and really open up through the heart space and stretch out, or a modified reverse namaste, or whatever you want to do, it's fine. I like to just place my fingertips onto the floor and reach my heart energetically up through my throat so I can draw my abdomen down to the inside of my left thigh. And as I do so, the stretch starts to go through the outer left thigh and the right thigh too. Now you're at home, so you can modify this as much as you need to. We're going to be here for about 5 breaths. So you know that your body's got space to open up. Now, yogi breath can take a long time, right? Sometimes we can get ourselves right down to only 2 or 3 breaths a minute. The average person breathes a lot of short little breaths through the nose to the top of the lung, back out through the nose. There's no diaphragm action. Sometimes we're even breathing through the mouth to the top of the lungs, short action. It's hardly breathing, right? Allow yourself now to breathe fully through your nostrils, all the way down to the base of your lungs. And then slowly reverse the air out. The slower we breathe, the more we manipulate carbon dioxide inside the lungs. And the presence of carbon dioxide inside our body, yes, it's a byproduct, but it's not toxic, not in the small doses we have. Presence of carbon dioxide inside the body means that the hemoglobin in the blood is more efficiently able to release oxygen to the cells to make energy. So breathing slowly, gently manipulating carbon dioxide inside means that we more efficiently use the oxygen in our blood. And this tells the whole nervous system to relax because things are going well. As you relax, you can stretch your body. So long, deep breaths in yoga mean you get deeper stretches. Go gently unpretzel yourself and come back to your downward facing dog. You might need to move quite slowly through this because bits of the body have got a little bit tight or stretched or whatever. Just wiggle your legs a little and wiggle your bum a little. Nice. Soften through everything. And come back to your breath, long, slow breaths through your nose. And when you're ready, you can inhale your left foot up towards the sky. Make it strong and powerful. Like you mean it, right? You're not here for long. Good. And then exhale, draw your left knee into your chest. Arch your shoulder blades forward and step your left foot between your hands and soften your right knee onto the earth. And this time you can extend your left hand forward. Big stretch. If you can send your awareness to the front middle finger of your left hand and big toe of your right foot. Find length as you breathe out. And then inhale, sweep that left hand all the way towards the back of your mat. You'll notice an opening through your inner left knee, right? For some of us, we can bend the right knee and get a hold of the right foot. For others, and I'm going to modify myself, the right foot can stay on the floor and we can just reach proud towards the back of the mat and soften the right hip down and lift the heart space up and open. You feel your body softening? Is there resistance anywhere? If there's resistance, you can breathe into it or soften out. Find a balance. If you're holding your right foot, gently release it slowly to the ground. Nice, and then bring the left hand all the way back to the front. We'll set up for pigeon pose on the other side. If you took a modification before, you sense or you feel that your left knee is in danger, then please modify. Otherwise, walk your left foot towards your right hand and soften your left knee somewhere behind your left wrist. Where it goes to is very personal. Don't judge it. Target area left glute. Maybe you inhale both hands up towards the sky to get a deeper stretch, but don't worry if you can't or don't want to today, it's fine. And then exhale, walk your hands forward as you inhale, melt your heart towards the earth. Maybe your forehead can rest. If you've got a block handy, or use your fists. Some of us, we can even place the head down onto the ground. It doesn't matter where you go to, as long as the forehead is supported, you'll notice that you can soften through your back muscles and lengthen a little deeper into your left glute. Yamas, niyamas, asana, pratyahara, pranayama, dhyana, dhyara, samadhi. So there are 8 limbs in Patanjali's original yogic text, 8 limbs of yoga. It's like each is a step on a lotus leaf, getting closer and closer to the 8th limb. The 8th limb is samadhi, is this nirvana, this blissful state. And of these 8 limbs, these 8 steps, only one is the asana, the physical practice. There are 7 others, equally as important. Breath is one of them. So in your practice, you can do at least 2 of them, right? Physical asana and breath. Good, so inhale to walk your hands back underneath your shoulders and lift your heart up. And soften your left sit bone down onto the ground. And this time, helicopter your right leg all the way around. Maybe you lift up a little bit, allow yourself to settle into this as you push your right foot a little deeper into the floor. Lengthen through your spine. Sometimes it helps to reach the left hand to the sky. Sometimes that just distracts. Send your right hand, press it into the hips, into the floor behind the hips. And then exhale to draw your left elbow across the top of your right knee. Good. Inhale, lengthen your spine very consciously, and exhale to draw your right shoulder all the way back towards the back of the mat. So you're looking for this nice twist. It's a twist when we change the angle of orientation between the rib cage and the hips. That's what we're looking for, rotating around a neutral spine. If you look at the floor or you look down, you'll bring pressure to your facet joints. So raise your gaze at least as high as your eye line. Breathe in, find length, exhale, go a little deeper. And then retreat all the way through 180 degrees. So spin around to right shoulder presses forward this time. Just press back the other way just to release through the spine. And then come back to the middle. I'm going to use a block again. I hope you do if something's available. Just makes it a little bit easier to leverage a little deeper. And draw your knees together, and we'll come back to cow face on the other side. Squeeze the knees together as much as possible. Whatever variation you want to take with your arms, whatever makes sense in your body, whatever feels good. And then walk your chest towards your inner thighs. So this guy, Patanjali, who wrote about these 8 limbs in traditional yoga, where the asana is just one of those limbs. In the whole of this text, it's written in Sanskrit originally, in the whole of this text, and it is the fundamental guideline for yoga. In the whole of this text, when it comes to talking about the physical asana, that practice that most of us spend all of our time and attention with, he didn't have much to say. He didn't have a list of sequences and flows to do. He didn't have lots of lovely names in Sanskrit to practice. When it came to the physical practice, he only had one piece of advice. The Sanskrit words are stira sukha asanam. You may have heard me say them before. Stira sukha asanam. That's all he said about the whole of the physical asana practice. That's all we know. Everything's developed from that. And what these 3 words mean is steady, easy, pose. Are you steady? Is it easy? Are you settled? Or are you forcing yourself too hard? If you are, it's not essentially yoga anymore. It's just an ego trip. Not a bad thing if you want to get super, super physically strong and physically developed. Go for it. Yoga is a bit deeper than that, though. Yoga has more to do than just a physical exercise, right? It offers you the opportunity to journey a little deeper inside yourself. That may be interesting, it may not be. It's just an opportunity, so it's up to you what you do with it. Good. From here, gently de-pretzel yourself and unfold your legs. We're going to come into a wide-legged seated fold, so you'll come the other way. So just broaden your legs. You may need to adjust yourself on your mat so you're comfortable. Maybe you've got furniture in the room, things lying about, maybe other people in the room. And you're going to widen your legs as much as possible. So we just have them sort of tied in and pretzeled up. Now you're going to widen them, stretch, and let the blood flow go right back out through it. I'd like you to draw your toes in towards your hips. So you're pressing the heels out. So you're active through the back line of your legs. Yeah. And then lift your shoulders, lift your crown of your head a little higher. Melt your shoulders away from your ears. So you're lengthening up through a neutral spine. Imagine your heart space lifting up through your throat as if you could press through the crown of your head. So it's literally lengthening your spine. Now, once you can feel this, reach your fingertips towards the earth. Keep the breath cycle going through your nose. You don't need me to count it right now. I'd like you to feel your own breath cadence. Inhaling for whatever count, 3, maybe 4, and exhaling for the same number. And then when you're ready, start walking your hands forwards and look for your soft edge, your comfortable soft edge. Know if you're going too deep, and also be aware if you're stopping too early, or if maybe you just need to breathe into a little tension. As you walk your belly towards the ground and lift your heart through your throat, and the crown of your head can extend forwards. Those toes are still tucking towards the hips to stay active through the back line of your legs. As you walk your hands, maybe a little bit closer to the ground. Some of us, the elbows, maybe the forehead will touch the ground. Whatever your extent is, find it and feel it inside your body, and do not judge it. Quite the opposite. Be grateful for wherever your body comes to in this pose. It really doesn't matter. What matters is your own awareness of yourself. One more long nose breath. Interesting that in the original book by Patanjali, the breath is as important as all of the physical practice. As important. You might be wondering what the other 6 steps are. That's for another class. That's for another conversation. They're non-physical then. Good. When you're ready, begin to walk your hands back towards your inner thighs. Feel the stretch through your spine. And bring both your legs into the middle. And this time we'll take a nice stretch through the posterior chain before we get ready for a supine twist. And that wonderful Shavasana, which seals our practice. And even though you're at home, I invite you to stay for the whole of your Shavasana. Do not be tempted to look at your watch and think, well, I have to do something else, because you will not benefit as much as you will do if you stay for your Shavasana for now. Maybe you bend your knees just a little, allowing yourself to come a little closer into this if you want to. Some of us like the knees flat. It's up to you. What I would ask you to do is don't reach to your feet and grab and pull yourself down. Just bring your hands towards the side of your knees or your calves and then walk them forward. See if you can allow your palms to face upwards in surrender. But keep reaching your heart through your throat, lifting through the crown of your head. So you're slightly active in your low back to protect the low back as you stretch all the way from your heels, through your Achilles, through the back of your calves, through the back of your knees, through the back of your hamstrings and around the outside of your glutes, through the middle of your low back, up through the muscles of your spine, the erector spinae muscles, even the big latissimus dorsi muscles, softening through the shoulders and softening through the back of your neck and releasing through the line across the back of your skull all the way to the back of your eyebrows. One more big, long, gentle breath. Breath is a blessing. And then when you're ready, slowly inhale to come on up into a seated pose. Bend your knees slightly. Inhale to lift your chest and draw your shoulder blades. It's like you could weave your shoulder blades together in one behind you. And then exhale to slowly come towards the ground. Maybe you lift your hands up, a little bit more challenging. Maybe you place your hands on the floor, entirely up to you. See if you can do this softly and slowly as you gently soften your shoulder blades so much until eventually they just kiss the ground. And when they do, exhale to draw your knees into your chest and give yourself an appreciative squeeze. It's almost as if your spirit's saying thank you to your body for the practice, the movement, the physical asana, 1/8 of your journey to nirvana, to ecstasy, samadhi, as they call it in Sanskrit. And we'll take a supine twist. So send your arms super wide and rotate both your knees to your favorite side, getting a big stretch through the side of your torso. But try and melt both shoulders onto the ground. There's a joy to letting go that not all of us know. Gently use your breath to flow to the other side. So you take a supine twist across the other side of your torso. Remember those shoulders stay on the ground. It's almost like you've managed to bless yourself with your practice. Good, and when you're ready, bring your knees back in the center. Give yourself one last little squeeze. Any little twists or fidgets that are calling to you, to listen to and take them. Personally, I'm going to come into a quick, happy baby. And it always makes me smile to think that babies are so happy for no particular reason. And then gently come into your final resting pose. So allow your heels to be as wide as your mat or wider. And softly flop your feet outwards. And go ahead and rest your arms on the ground. And just walk your shoulder blades in a little bit. You can take a breath in and stretch to the front line of your body and broaden through your palms. And then take a long breath out. I'm going to do some counting breathing with you so that you can soften all the way through your body. I'd like you to relax your feet, your calves, your legs, your hips, and your belly. Abdomen, shoulders, and arms and hands. And as you feel the back of your head sink a little deeper into the mat, seal your lips. And we'll do some 4-6 breathing, which means we're exhaling for longer than we inhale. This builds a little carbon dioxide inside the system and helps us to relax even deeper. So breathe out gently and then inhale with me for 1, 2, 3, 4, and exhale 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale through the nose. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, whisper sound. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Twice more together. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale. Last time together. 1, 2, 3, 4. And exhale. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale through your nose. Breathe normally. Release. Shavasana. The time is just coming up on 11:30 if you're time bound. The moment I'm going to be switching off the technology, but I invite you to use the luxury of being in your own home to stay in your Shavasana as long as you wish, relaxing deeply and allowing yourself to absorb all the deeper benefits of your practice. Namaste, yogi.